So as you can see, you've got 2 more yarn. No, you haven't. You've just got the same 2. So you've got 2 bits of yarn that you've made. You haven't made them. What's going on? This is going so badly. No, no, no. Restart. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to, I can't begin this. I don't know what to do. So today I'm going to show you how to make an arm knitted blanket. So this yarn I've got here is textile yarn. Fabric is a bit too thin to use for a blanket, so I'm joining all 3 together. But it's just, I've been wanting to use these for so long that I had to buy them. These were £6 each in Hobbycraft, and I wasn't gonna buy them, but then I saw the sign that said 3 for 2, and then I used my student discount, so I had to get them. I didn't really want to go into the minuses in my bank account because the other yarn can be super expensive because it is really chunky. If you are willing to go into your minuses, then by all means get it, because it does look like it's going to be some awesome blanket if you go and use some chunky wool. If you're using chunky fabric, you will just want to use one. So for the first bit, I'm going to show you with one, and then I'll show you when I'm using all 3 together. But the process is just going to be the same. If you've done knitting before, a lot of this will be quite familiar to you. So for example, the slip stitch. Oh, that was so smooth. Please. Please what? Why did I say please? So first of all, you're going to want to make the slip stitch. So you're going to give yourself a lot of yarn at the end. Just keep reeling it off. Have your fabric like this, or the wool, whatever you've got. Make a circle, just like that. And hold it with your right hand or your left hand or whatever, and then bring this one over the side so you've got a circle with a line through, and you just want to pick that up through the circle. So as you pick that up, you can then tighten it, and you've created a slip stitch. You can just loosen it and it goes straight on. And when it's on here, you want to tighten it, but enough so that it's going to keep going up and down your arm, and your hand doesn't go red, and it doesn't just hurt you. You just want to be good. So now you've got 2 bits of yarn hanging out here. Just chilling, they're just hanging out together. So hilarious. You've got 2 bits of yarn and you want to create your stitches. So you're going to hold them with these 2 fingers, just like that. And then these 2 fingers want to go through the 2 there and go through that gap. So from what your angle, this is going to be really hard. You're holding them and then you're just going through with these 2. Hello, hello. No. And then you can bring it down like that and you've got this shape. So now you've got these 3 pieces of yarn that you can see on your hand. Now this one on your thumb, you want to go under. This one, you want to go over. And this one, you want to go under but round it, and then you want to pull it through like that. And you can put your hand into that gap that you've just made and tighten it a little bit, but remember, not too tight. So I'll just show you that again. So you hold it with these 2 at the bottom, and with these 2 little pincers, I'm going to call them pincers, they're fingers obviously, but with these 2 you want to go through the 2 there and hold them again like that. So this is under, over, under and round, and you can just slip your hand back on it. So we're going to do that again. Bottom 2, and then the pincers go through there, and you make sure you grab the bottom of the yarn there. So under, over, under and round. Try that again. These 2, through that and around, under, over, under and around. So that's currently made 5. So you've got your initial one that was the slip stitch, and 4 stitches, so you've got 5 there. Obviously, if you're very good at counting, you could have worked that out yourself, but I'm going to put on about 17 stitches, so unless you're ahead of me, if you've got 5, you obviously want to add on 12 more. I've currently got 17 stitches on this arm, and what we want to do is bring these stitches over to this arm to create the first row. You've got your working yarn, so your tail end, if you're like me and you've made a big one, put it over your shoulder or something. You want to work with your working yarn, which makes a lot of sense. So to create your first stitch, in your hand you're going to have the working yarn that is connected to the ball of wool or whatever you're using. And you want to take this first stitch, bring it over your hand whilst you're holding this, and then you can bring that yarn up through that hole. And you just want to put your hand straight through that. And you want to tighten it a little bit, and you can use a tail end as well for this bit. Just tighten it a little bit, don't take it too far away from your other hand. And then you can just start again. And with the second one, you can do exactly the same. Still holding the working yarn, you want to pull it over your hand and pull this hoop up just through it. And you want to tighten that one again. And the last stitch, exactly the same. So we're going to now go on to the second row, which is exactly the same. So make sure you've got enough wool or textile yarn to carry on with this. Exactly the same, however it's on your other hand. So you've got your working yarn and you grab it with the hand that's got all of the stitches on, and you get the last stitch, put it over, pull that hoop through and put your hand through that hole. So basically just transferring the stitches over from one arm to the other. Got 2 rows of stitches. I'm just going to show you one more row. More rows, you're going to get a lot quicker at it. Here you've got 3 rows of this arm knitting. But even though I've done loads of that on my arm and it's a bit of a waste, I'm going to move on to using 3 together. So I've got these 2 other colours that I'm going to use all in one. So using 3 isn't that much different to using 1, but you want to get your 3 different colours, if they are, or the 3 of the same wool, in a row and all at the end like this. You then want to do exactly the same as what you did in the first one, which was give enough room at the end to allow yourself to have 17 or however many stitches you want, depending on how wide you want it. You then want to do exactly the same and begin with a slip stitch. So you just want to create a circle and pull this through. Once again, you're going to have a tail end and the working yarn. If you look, they just sort of drop into 2 rows anyway, but if not, if you've got funny yarn, you just want to make sure you find that on one side there's 3 and on the other side there's 3. And it's going to be the exact same process. Holding them with your bottom 2 fingers and then making sure there's 3 on either side. You want to put your fingers through the middle and down like that again. Now this bit can get a bit confusing, but this bit is under still, under 3, over these 3, and you want to grab these 3 at the other end and pull those through. Just tighten them on the other wrist. And again, this bit gets a bit easier because you can see the difference in the 2. I overestimated how much my arm would be able to take, and I've just done 14 on this wrist, which means I've got a lot left over, but I'm going to go for it with 14. Just do exactly the same. So you're working yarn in your hand, and then you take the first 3. Now this can get a bit confusing, but you want to make sure that you've got the 3 colours, or if you're doing the same one, the 3 bits of fabric that all go together, yarn, and pull it over your hand again to create that loop. Just want to tighten it again. Same with the second one, over your hand, holding the yarn. So this is my arm, once again looking a lot thicker with the 3 on, and I've still only just done 1 row. So I'm now going to go on to the second row. That one over your hand, creating a loop and putting your hand through it. After after those 3 rows, you're just going to continue doing exactly the same up until you've found the sort of length that you want for it. I've done about 20 rows on mine, and this is what it's beginning to look like. It's pretty long. However, I'm going to stop now and bind off because I'm not using mine as a blanket, and I'll bind off. It's very simple. Once you've got as many rows as you want to hold the working yarn in the arm with all the stitches on and do 2 more stitches onto the other arm. Now this is the same as binding off and knitting. And you want to get this one, so your first stitch, over your second stitch. And you can let that one drop. And do the same again. You get another stitch and you pull the first one over the next one, and you could just let that drop. Not try and pick it up like I did. And then you just carry on. Stitch. And then that one over that one and drop. Now don't forget to tighten it, but don't tighten it too much because that can then lead to it being big at the bottom and then getting smaller to the top. And just keep going until you get to the end. So once you get to the last stitch, go over that as normal, and you're left with this one. You then want to make sure you leave a bit of a tail at the end, but you just want to cut it after having left a bit of a tail, and then just pull it all the way through. Or you could just struggle like I am. And then just tighten that as much as you can, because you don't want that coming out. So just to make sure this doesn't come undone, you just want to weave the ends in, so this long tail. And when you hold it, you'll see some gaps where you can just slot it through, and then it goes quite neatly. So you just want to do that at both ends where you have the tail. So that's now completed, and you are left with a lovely arm knitted blanket throw. I have weaved in all the ends, apart from this one. All done. And as you can see, mine is a lot shorter than a blanket would be, but it was because halfway through I thought if I did another blanket, I'd be in trouble. So I realised halfway through I've got a dressing table, well, a bedside table, that is a little bit bland at the minute, and I thought this would be perfect to go over it. So I switched my idea up. But if you did want to make a blanket or a throw, all you needed to do is carry on the stitches and the rows all the way through until you find yourself with a long enough one of these. As you can go as long as you want. You could go incredibly long, or you could be standard. But who wants to be normal? Not me. There are many things that you could do with this. So as long as you get it as wide as you want it, you could put the inside of a cushion there and fold that over the top, sew down the sides and the top. So it would be a cushion that you wouldn't be able to wash unless you wanted to unpick it. But that could be a cushion cover. Put a wooden dowel across the top with some string, and you could have it as a wall hanging. Another thing, when you weave the ends in, instead of weaving them in on their own, you can weave them in with the ends together, so it's like that. And you can fit your little head through the middle, pretend that's done, and you can make yourself a scarf. Actually, that's quite a nice scarf. This is what I made. The dogs are playing and are being very noisy. I'm so sorry. But they're looking really cute, so I don't mind. Genius. If you really wanted, you could make it into a dog blanket. I'm sure you could also make a dog toy from this. That'd be great, wouldn't it? I think we've found ourselves a fan. Hey? I know. You love it. I'll make you another one. I'm in camouflage.